fucking YouTube page.
Hatman, we have to talk about something super ethereal.
Super cereal?
Manbearpig.
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 He's totally real.
We have to ban all the things now. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get this party started. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm former Vice President Al Gore.
Welcome to Micah and some other guy. Super ethereal. And yes, I'm aware of what Matt and Trey have said about global warming. I really don't care. They're not alarmists last time I checked. And dear freaking God, was this fucking abortion of television programming alarmism in all of its forms. I mean, I have never seen a faster race to the bottom on banning shit. Ever. Not since the PMRC.
Everything. I mean, you would think this was some kind of an economic boycott. This is obedience movement. Why not?
I'm going to be honest about something here. The only thing that would make oil worse to these people that were at this town hall is if all of it was in Israel.
Yeah, really, good God.
Like, Elizabeth Warren went so far as to say, aside from banning fracking, which is like it has there's no evidence that it hasn't had an effect on our atmosphere, and just aside from saying she would ban fracking and fossil fuels, said no to nuclear.
That one, I don't understand it. I don't understand that one.
All I know is
that just seems like
I have a ginger jack because of this. Like, let's just establish that. I mean, okay, let's back up. Let's back up a second. I feel like we started off a little quick there. So, because this is so stupid. Where does this? So what CNN did was, because of the incoming hurricane, which, for those of you who don't know, here in our hemisphere, we have hurricane season. Every single year around this time of the year, tropical storms come landside. And they can be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, as in mass flooding, high winds, and lots of time arguing with power companies on when the hell they're going to get off their asses and actually, restore power.
Yes.
Looking at you, Duke. Source, I live in the South. Yes. Yes.
So, when it comes right down to it, this, for Americans, this is not new. At all. Every fucking year, we expect it. I work in the insurance industry. Around this time of the year, we have an uptick in claims. Oftentimes, due to hurricanes. Or, tropical storms, blah, 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 blah. And I think we've had at least one hurricane every year for the last 20 years, if not more than that, like hit some sort of landfall on the continental United States. So this isn't new to American life at all, and has not gotten that much worse recently. About every 4 years, you get the really bad ones.
I think they said Dorian was the strongest one was going to make landfall in the U.S., and the only one that had the record beforehand was from the 30s or something.
Yeah.
So if we're supposed to be having like the worst possible, wouldn't we be having like constant record-setting hurricanes too?
Yes, you would think so, that they would continue to get bigger and bigger. But Dorian went to a Cat 5, then to a Cat 3. In the same way that Harvey sort of went from a Cat 5 to a Cat 4. Mm-hmm. You know, so oftentimes what will happen is they'll look nastier out over sea, but when they start to come towards land, they don't get as bad. Yeah. Relatively speaking, of course.
Dorian went down to like Cat 1 even, and I think just today strengthened back up to Cat 2. Yeah. However, rarely.
Because it's a storm. It's going to ebb and flow, and then it'll die out. That's the nature of storms. You know, anybody who knows anything about weather would be able to tell that to you. But clearly none of those people were at this fucking town hall. That is the big problem.
I mean, even weather in the South, good God, like, I can't speak on other states, but at least North Carolina, any of you who've been here during the springtime, you will know this. There are some days where it is ungodly hot, and then the very next day, they're going to call for snow. Mm-hmm. It is stupid, but it's been like this. The weather here has been bipolar for as long as I've been alive, at least.
It's the uniqueness of where the United States is positioned. There's several states that have several bodies of water around them. Like Illinois is another good example. Because you remember when you were here how ungodly humid it was that one day. It's because Chicago's right next to the Great Lakes, and it affects the entire state.
I'm just used to the humidity, though. That's the thing.
But that's the thing.
You should have felt it when I got back home. It's awful.
But that's just the general issue, is that there were zero solutions given here about what to do about hurricanes. Zero. There was nothing spoken of that was going to ever prevent a hurricane or make it easier to recover from one. Zero things. Banning fracking would not stop hurricanes. For those of us who remember more than 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, there were hurricanes around before fracking was a thing. Mm-hmm. So, and they of course want to all move to green energy because something. And what's really funny is how many senators were a part of this. At least 2. And they were all speaking so highly of the Green New Deal. And this whole thing about our world is going to be destroyed in 12 years. Hatman, since I know you remember these things, how many of these people actually voted for the Green New Deal in the Senate?
None of them.
Exactly.
Couldn't. Green New Deal was, one of those things that was just so damn ridiculous that nobody took it seriously. I mean, even the occasional Cortex was walking it back, or at least walking parts of it back, when going on her whole speaking tour trying to promote it.
And blaming her fucking AIDS for everything.
Mm-hmm. It's
classy.
What do you expect? What the hell do you expect?
But here's the thing.
No, it's just...
Nuclear's cleaner.
It is.
And they don't want to do nuclear.
No.
But they're the party of science.
Yeah. Nuclear is clean. Nuclear is cheap, at least after you get your initial setup costs out of it. And nuclear, creates jobs too, because you need people to maintain those fucking plants. So then why the hell haven't we jumped on it? There have been 2 meltdowns in history. Two. They were devastating, but my God, that is pretty good workplace safety right there.
Yeah. Let's also add something to that. Like, everybody likes to talk about Chernobyl. A lot of the problems with Chernobyl were government oriented, because this is Soviet Russia we're talking about.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So thank you for the argument of not only more nuclear power but fully privatizing it. Much appreciated from those of us who consider ourselves at least partially libertarian.
Seriously, I'm not opposed to going towards green energy, if only because oil, coal, what have you, are finite resources. They're going to run out at some point. So it does stand to reason that we should be looking for more renewable options. That said, this paranoia, the world coming to an end in 12 years or less, or we the point where you don't change everything within 12 years and the earth will be unsustainable, nothing we can do about it. That's horseshit. That's absolute horseshit.
There's only 2 things that stand to reason. First is that somewhere there's a bomb. There's a bomb, Hatman. Somewhere.
A bomb.
And we only have 12 years to defuse it. That's idea number 1. Mm-hmm. Idea number 2 is if we only had 12 years to live, and this is a progressive problem, wouldn't we be seeing much more damage than we actually see these days? That's my general thought. It's either one or the other. But we're starting to see more and more experts come out and say, no. The world is not going to end in 12 years. We are not going to be getting the day after tomorrow. Shut the fuck up with your Gaia theory.
2 days before the day after.
Yeah.
Global warming coming right at us.
Yeah. There needs to be a new heel in professional wrestling called global warming. And just everybody's fucking frightened of it. Ridiculous. But this is generally another indictment on the Democratic Party, politically speaking. Mm-hmm. They don't have any solutions. They have zero solutions, and this is something that needs to be stressed.
Let's clarify something. Of the solutions that they do have, they are unsustainable. Be it because we know from experience and current evidence that it's possible, or the price is so damn high that it would bankrupt us before we could actually, follow through with it. They don't have any realistic solutions.
No, none at all. And that, generally speaking, is a big problem. You cannot come to this conclusion and expect people to not think you're a little crazy. Just a touch. Because here's the thing. Climate does change. And it has changed and will likely change again. It's just the planet we live on.
referred to as the Ice Ages.
Yes. But the idea that everything
change.
is purely because of human involvement and the world is going to end in 12 years and thus we need this giant socialistic change in the United States government to save us all is bullshit. And this is the facts. The United States is only responsible worldwide for only 15% of carbon emission. 15%.
And who's responsible for the...
Well, the point is that the only way that carbon emissions would go down across the world is if the entire world agreed to it. This is something we discussed when it came to the Paris Accords too. Is that
I believe we discussed it last week, either
the biggest offenders aren't doing shit.
Oh.
Go talk to them.
China and India aren't being held to these sorts of standards. I mean, even when you do have accords, it's typically just the West doing it.
Yeah. This is downright ridiculous. There is no evidence that the world is ending in 12 years. There is no reason to think that we can be the world's air filter. None of this has any backing in anything, and it's all ridiculous. Yes, the climate changes, but this idea that the only thing we can do is elect a Democrat to save us all, bullshit.
Socialism is snake oil.
Yeah, it really is.
It'll cure the earth. It'll cure what ails you.
Speaking of needing a cure, England. So, Hatman.
Oh, God.
You have been following this more than I have. Though I did see Boris Johnson roast the ever-loving fuck out of everybody's favorite commie, Jeremy Corbyn in Parliament. What the hell is going on with Brexit?
So it's kind of in a crisis now. Because Boris Johnson was dead set on moving forward with Brexit by the early October 31st deadline. He said, deal or no deal, we're getting it. And it seemed like he was going for a no-deal Brexit. He asked the Queen to suspend Parliament, which basically means, cut down on the debate and just get to the point of Brexit is absolutely going to happen. Now, the Conservatives do not have a majority in Parliament. I think like 21 members defected and then were expelled from the party over a no-deal Brexit. Some of them want to cut a deal with the EU, but the problem is the EU was not going to give the UK a fair deal to begin with. Everyone knew that. And because Theresa May was such a shit negotiator, she kind of got forced into a corner, and the only way out was no fucking deal. You wouldn't really get Brexit. You would have the UK become a serf state. I mean, it'd be like fucking... The UK would basically be what the American colonies were to Great Britain. Just representation, still getting taxed. Bullshit. So now it appears that won't be a no-deal Brexit, and UK is going to miss the Brexit deadline. Boris Johnson is now calling for elections so he can get the majority, he can run the government. And you've got all kinds of conservative MPs now either quitting, including the conservative whip today, or otherwise siding with the opposition. At this point, my opinion that Brexit is not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think exactly what we predicted, that it's going to be delayed and delayed and delayed until you get a government that says, fuck the people's vote, we're just not going to do it. And then they stay.
Well, that's one of two ways that it's going to go. We predicted another way, remember? Either it's not going to happen, the government goes against the will of the people, and Britain continues to slide into looking like 1984. Or the Brexit party decides to go local. And then you get Prime Minister Nigel Farage, which is what's his face's worst fucking nightmare.
Corbyn's.
Corbyn's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And this is generally the issue that we run into with the Brits, is that it really feels like there is just a unnatural fear of being independent again.
I don't know if it's a thing, but rather just the prop and the EU sink in so deeply that they feel like it's genuinely going to be more of a detriment to not be a European citizen. Oh, I guess that does mean they're afraid of independence when you really think about it.
Yeah. Well,
but it's ridiculous, honestly. I mean, the EU has been nothing but trouble. Of course, they're not going to want to let the UK leave because the UK is backup purse when Germany can't foot the bill. I mean, that's money at the door. You're not going to want to lose your second largest customer. Speaking as a businessman, you're not going to want to lose them. You're going to want to do everything you possibly can to keep them around. So of course it stands for that they want this. But as far as I'm concerned, the EU is totalitarian as hell. Fucked over Greece. They're currently fucking over Poland. Now they want to fuck over the UK. Failed experiment. Nice try. Wrap up next weekend, and we'll think of a better fucking idea, like abolishing it. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I mean, I honestly hope that Boris Johnson just comes out swinging as hard as possible and just. These fucking people who are trying to delay the vote are not Brits, they're Europeans.
He needs
That's what
to.
their loyalty is to. That is loyalty lies. To EU, not to Britain.
Well, that's what needs to happen. And this is generally the biggest issue that Britain has had. Is the unwillingness to just do what the people want you to do. I am of the opinion that, first off, a lot of people who talk about populism don't know what populism is. Populism is simple. It is not a philosophy. Populism is a very simple idea. Do what you were elected to do. Go with the will of the people unilaterally. If they tell you to do something, you say, I am your elected representative. This is what I will do. That is what populism is. It's very, very simple.
Exactly.
A lot of people who say, well, if you're a non-elected official and you call yourself a populist, you're being a pretentious little shit. The fact of the matter is that Britain needs an injection of populism. Doing what the people want to have done. Very simple. Very easy. It's what governments by their nature should be populist. The issue that we run into is that I think that Britain is further along in this problem than I think that America is in some ways. Mm-hmm. Is that the elected officials are completely and totally unconcerned with what John and JQ Public care about. All they care about is loyalty to the party. That's it. Mm-hmm. And not saying that America is not getting there. We certainly are, and it's not good. But the point is that populist movements in democracies whether you're a republic or just a straight up democracy like Britain is, or democratic monarchy. I have no idea what the fuck they call themselves. But anyway, the fact is that, and I think Boris Johnson knows this, and I think Jeremy Corbyn knows this and is scared of it. And I'll reiterate myself here. If they do not get this done, the exact same thing that they saw with their MPs will happen to them on the local level. The Brexit Party will run local elections, and they'll win rather easily. Because all they have to say is, I am for Brexit, and that's what I will vote for to win. That's it. It is one of the most simple paths to run on that I have ever seen in my life. It's MEPs. Sorry about that. But think about that for a second. How fucking simple that is. Vote for me, Brexit happens. That's it. End of story. End of advertisement. Say no more. That's all that really needs to happen. And
Farage as well.
Yeah, we like Farage. That is ultimately what needs to happen, because there are people within... Let's talk about Corbyn for a second, because he seems to be one of the biggest hang-ups here. Corbyn knows if Brexit happens, it destroys his own worldview. I'm sorry, 2 steps to that. If Brexit happens and the UK is much more successful without the rest of Europe, that destroys his entire worldview. Because he's a communist, he is a globalist. You know, he believes in the concept of a one-world government. One-world socialism. That's what Jeremy Corbyn wants. If Brexit happens, his whole everything falls apart. Everything. In the same way, you know, and this is part of the reason that, and Corbyn was only a lever when it suited him to be. He's a snake. Don't trust him.
Yeah. He does what he does for the power.
Yeah. He's a communist. In every sense of the term. All animals are equal, but Jeremy Corbyn's more equal than others. Got a donation real quick. Servant of God says, can't we just make it a thing that to run to office you have to have a 10-year blue-collar work minimum? I don't know about that, but when it comes right down to it, that's true of a lot of people. They seem to think that the EU must succeed. If not, we're going to descend into tribalism and we're going to get World War III, blah, 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 blah. I'd be more worried about World War III being started with Iran getting a nuke than I am the EU falling apart. This is sadly where we're at. Is Britain has an inability to do what people want them to do. It's pathetic. It really is.
Britain needs...
Go ahead.
1776. Yeah, Britain needs some 1776.
Yeah, they really do.
One of the chat said the EU is just the second Soviet Union, and that's probably the most apt comparison, I would say. All know what happened to the Soviet Union.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Sorry. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our final topic of the day. So, the gay mafia.
I'm sorry. Sorry, just that lead in. So, the gay mafia.
Yes. Good old G Mob. Good old G Mob is not happy. When are they ever happy? But they're especially not happy at a certain football star, Mr. Drew Brees. Now, for those who don't know, Drew Brees is a Christian. Very open about his faith. Granted, a lot of football players, it seems to be either hate America or love Jesus. that's about it. But
Does he play for the Saints?
yes.
Okay, because I don't do football. I they recognize the name, but
Is there even football in North Carolina?
yes, Carolina Panthers exist. It's like the
For some reason I thought they were South Carolina.
Well, it's for both, but Charlotte is where their stadium is.
Oh, okay. I had no clue because nobody cares about the Panthers. But I say that as the Bears fan. But God, we suck.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
good luck with that,
dude. I made this remark yesterday at work. Is the you want to know how you can tell how long it's been since the Bears won the Super Bowl? You ask me how old I am. Like, that's sad. It really is.
Shit, you better hope the Bears never win, because that might be a curse.
Could be.
Fucking win, that could be your end. Oh shit.
Yeah. Watch me die the year that they
oh god.
The years they win the Super Bowl. Everybody will be like, it's his fucking fault. Now, granted, when the Bears did win, it was the best team of all time. A lot of times, people the '85 Bears they're considered the greatest team of all time, if not like top 5. I mean, we did the Super Bowl shuffle. We had Walter Payton. So, Cooper's Revenge Home here says, you think you got it bad, I'm an Eagles fan. Didn't you guys just win the Super Bowl a couple years ago? I mean, granted, some people in Philadelphia literally ate shit after that happened. Which kind of tells you everything that you need to know about Philadelphia. I mean, these people booed Santa. And they ate shit.
My buddy is a Falcons fan.
Oof.
It's especially bad for him.
Yeah. But anyway. So Drew Brees did an ad for Focus on the Family as part of an initiative that a lot of Christian groups are doing for a Bring Your Bible to School Day. Drew Brees basically got onto camera, said he's a Christian, says he reads his Bible, named his favorite verse, which was something from 1 Corinthians. I don't remember the exact verse. And said, don't be afraid to be a Christian. Don't be afraid to bring your Bible to school. Blah, blah, blah. So, pretty standard Christian message for kids. You know?
Almost like a boilerplate message.
Yeah. It ain't that different than like some of the ads that like David Robinson used to cut back in his heyday in the NBA. But the thing about it, and where this all got crazy, is G Mafia said now he's anti-gay because it was for Focus on the Family. Yeah.
I hope he doesn't eat Chick-fil-A.
That's what I would have done, personally. If I were Drew Brees, the very next thing I would have done, I would have taken my whole family to Chick-fil-A and then posted a picture of it on Instagram. And just watch everyone explode.
No. Get a local high school, take their Fellowship of Christian Athletes group to Chick-fil-A and treat everybody.
About maybe choke on my whiskey. Anyway. But no, it's so they have completely and totally lost their minds because he does this for this particular group, he goes and apparently he hates gay people now, folks. And this is to anybody who's gay in the audience. This is nothing personal against you. Every single Abrahamic religion is against homosexual anything. Along with getting drunk, along with sleeping around, along a myriad of other sins. It's almost as if you buy into a religion, it's a little restrictive. But anyway, how on earth this made him anti-gay is beyond me. And he recorded an apology, which you should never do, about it, saying that he didn't know they were anti-gay, something else. And this, of course, will not be enough. It will never be enough. Because you shouldn't apologize. Ever. But this, of course, is, I think, a symptom of a bigger problem. Because we see that sort of thing happen to Christians all the time. Is that you are not allowed to be a practicing believer in Christianity and be a decent person in their eyes. We've got all these football players that we have seen beat the shit out of their supposed loved ones. Or do all these other things that are nasty and terrible. But one guy practices his religion, it's the end of the fucking world. Does anybody else see the problem there? Because Drew Brees does not affect public policy. Drew Brees is not an elected official or anything like that. I don't even think he's ever stated an actual position on gay marriage. Which wouldn't matter because you can get gay married. Mm-hmm. Anywhere you want. Provided you are not violating the religious liberties of your fellow American citizen. You are able to go get gay married. So what the fuck does his opinion even matter to you?
Let's be real. Flashback to Tim Tebow. Tebow got ripped the hell apart for praying on the field.
Yeah.
To one knee. The whole Tebowing thing.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to get to the point where, oh, well, he's a group that's anti-gay. You don't have to get that point. That's just, as far as I'm concerned, that's a convenient out when people are like, hang on a minute, why the fuck are you upset?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason why a lot of celebrities and athletes, what have you, pretty much have to keep their fucking mouths shut if they're a Christian. If they follow any other religion, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm getting fucking sick, and this is something just in our culture in general, of this bake the cake, sign the yowie, wax the balls bullshit. Fuck you, and fuck you.
Fuck them.
To be the answers. No, fuck them! No! No.
Oh?
No.
Oh?
We have a different button for the gay mafia.
Oh.
For the constant... Oh, and fuck him for Mugabe, because he's an evil son of a bitch. He's dead, thank God, fuck him.
Yeah. Fuck Mugabe.
But no, the fucking G Mafia constantly...
Alphabet Mafia.
constantly
as
wants,
Chappelle would say.
yeah, constantly wants to stop people from being able and feeling free to believe what they want to believe and practice it. These people are anti-freedom. They are anti-liberty. They are fascists. And as such, I declare exterminatus.
Hit the button.
We have arrived, and it is now that we fulfill our charge. In fealty to the Lord our God, and by the grace of his throne, I declare exterminatus upon whatever scumbag we're declaring exterminatus on today. I hereby sign the death warrant of an entire wherever, and consign 1,000,000 souls, maybe, to oblivion. May imperial justice account in all balance. The Emperor protects. Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult, Deus vult.
All right. It is time for Q&A. So let us go ahead and begin. Let's have a look at the Discord server.
Several in the Discord.
A couple of these are for entertainment. Okay. Holy Ninjato asks, what are some ways that I'm going to combat my sex addiction? Oh boy. So this is a topic. So what I do, and I do multiple things, because it's not an easy fight. Some days I feel like I'm losing. I'm actually going to minimize the chat for this one, because I need to speak seriously about this, because this is a cultural problem that we're going through, and I'm just a number in it. Obviously, you know, being celibate has been a big thing. It's the pornography that's really, really hard to get away from, especially if you're on computers as much as I am. The thing that I'm doing, I'm reading through and using a workbook series called The 7 Pillars of Freedom by Dr. Ted Roberts. He's a psychologist. If you look in, like, there's kind of this weird thing in science of, like, lines of teaching. Carl Gustav Jung had a really, really well-known student whose name escapes me, and then that well-known student taught Ted Roberts. So Ted Roberts is, like, 2 steps away from Jung in regard, and a lot of his work comes from Jungian philosophy, specifically discussing the shadow. He doesn't call it that, he calls it something else. He uses biblical terms for it, but that's basically what he's talking about. And if you ever heard the song 46 and 2 by Tool, you know what I mean by the shadow. It is that part of your psyche between the ego and the subconscious that exists. It's your dark side. Jordan Peterson, by the way, also part of that same sort of line of learning succession as well. And Peterson talks a lot about this in 12 Rules for Life, which is another book that's helped me considerably with this addiction. Is what I have to do is move through that. Learn about the darker parts of myself. The monstrous parts. The things that drive me to do these things that I see as sins. That are sins. I don't need to beat around the bush there. And what I have found is that this is so fucking depressing. My entire life, from the day I was born, has been one giant trauma conga line. One after another, after another, after another. until I was 27 years old, I could not find, and I went back year by year, I could not find a single year that something very deeply traumatic happened to me. I've not had a good life. At all. And it's hard to live with that. But there's a lot. I'm working through that workbook, and it's helping me understand why I am the way that I am and why I succumb to some of these things. And understanding it is the first step on a long path. I don't think I will be sober completely when it comes to this sort of thing for a while. But I'm going to get there, and I'm going to beat this. I'm going to have victory. You know? It's just going to take time. But that's what I'm doing. Because my day job, my health insurance actually pays for mental health stuff too. I'm going to start seeing a psychologist again to help me through this. Somebody that a friend of mine at church is going to try to recommend to me. And yeah. That's the lengths I'm going to go to beat this. Because if I am going to be the man that I need to be, I have to win. It's not going to be easy. I have to starve myself of some things in my life. But it's for a much bigger purpose than just temporary satisfaction. I'll win. I am going to need support. So, any will be helpful. Trust me. Even if it's just prayer. Alright, Talon Silverbane asks, say one day people found that the chaos gods were real and started worshipping them, would America have to allow for their worship to be allowed if they avoided, say, blood sacrifices, torture, and the usual dark things chaos cults like to do? How far is the right of belief allowed to stretch before a faith is outlawed? It's very, very simple. Does it infringe upon the rights of other people for you to practice it?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Life, liberty, and property. So
Right.
So let's say Nurgle gets a cult here in the United States. Chances are we would go to war with Nurgle and all of his followers. Because fuck him, America.
And that's part of the reason why we call Scientology cult.
Of course, if we did have that sort of thing, then of course Project Lazarus would exist in real life.
Oh, some fucking demons.
Yeah. So.
Rip and tear.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that reasoning is also why we call Scientology a cult.
Yeah.
Again, I'm fairly certain the cult of Cthulhu wouldn't be able to get anyone beyond memers.
Yeah.
So
Cthulhu 2020. Why settle for the lesser evil? You know, as if for those of you who don't know, I kind of am a Lovecraft fan. So. Sadly, because I switched my camera around, you can't see my little stuffed Cthulhu, but he's sitting over there on my bar stool.
Can confirm it is there.
Yep. And for people who are wondering, like, did I move to a different room? All I literally did was I took my desk and I rotated it 180 degrees.
You just turned it.
It's just the opposite wall.
It's the back wall.
Yeah, that's it. Now I'm looking at Guts instead of Guts being behind me. So. All right. So, let's go ahead and move on because there's not a lot of donations today. Let's go ahead and move on to the chat. Oh, prove it? Yeah, hold on one second.
There we go.
There he is. There's Cthulhu. All right. So let's go ahead and get questions from the chat. Hatman, I will go ahead and let you answer a couple of them. I need to get up and actually, it's really hot in here, so I'm gonna get up and and take my suit off. I'll be right back.
Yeah. There's a reason why I'm wearing shorts right now, even though I can't stand them. I much prefer long pants. My pants are strong, that longest pants. Everybody, longest pants. Long pants. Oh, ooh, this is an interesting question. Leonardo Juan asks, why do people in the far right, like James Alsop and the Iconoclast, always say that the more diverse the country is, the less we have free speech? I guess the reason why is because that tends to breed people who call out hate speech, call for hate speech legislation, and hate speech is, in simplest terms, free speech. It is free expression. The whole idea of, well, there needs to be consequences for free speech. There already are. Be it social consequences or what have you. There are consequences for whatever the fuck you say. That's how it is. There's some places, like public places, where if you say the fuck word too loud, they will kick you out. That's not like that's not a crazy fucking thing. Oh my god, my free speech rights are being violated here. I mean, that's consequence of it. That said, you shouldn't legislate it. Like, you shouldn't get to the level of government placing you under arrest. Like, let's go back to Great Britain for a second. Placing you under arrest because of a tweet that says there are two genders. Investigating you for it. Like, that's fucking stupid.
Beyond stupid.
Absolutely.
So that's a violation of your rights.
So I guess that's the reason why they say it's less free, but at the same time, that's still not a good enough argument for their point. Like, that's not an argument against multiculturalism or diversity, whatnot. I mean, that their point ultimately boils down to, we want the right to say whatever we want, but to protect our freedom of expression, but fuck everyone else's. I mean, they are, at the end of the day, authoritarians. They're not going to appreciate people who speak against them. Certainly made that known. Was it Richard Spencer who actually went out and said, yeah, I would not have free expression for the opposition in my
he
nationalist.
He absolutely said that.
Yeah,
he said he would control the whole internet.
It's stupid. It's stupid. You have one person questioning the authority suddenly is joust.
Yeah. All right, we got a donation. Servant of God donated $1. Said, EU, China, Iran, etc. 1776 worldwide sounds like a good idea. What do you think of that? I am in favor of every single nation on this world being self-sustaining and having a sense of self-purpose. And, they have the right to govern themselves. They should choose liberty every single time.
Liberate the fuck out of all of them.
All right, what else we got?
Coast Revenge Home asks, can you explain why benevolent dictatorships, quote unquote, never work, and name some examples from history? It's just the idea of dictatorships in general.
I was about to say, I think benevolent dictators an oxymoron.
Well, in some ways, yes. There have been. Okay, if you want to go to like the most basic form of dictatorship, a monarchy. Because one person has absolute fucking power. That is a form of dictatorship. Yes, there have been benevolent rulers. There have been rulers that were very fucking good at what they did. Or if you want to go even further back to like the true origin of it, Cincinnatus, for example, he got shit done. He his fucking power down. It's always the idea that if you open yourself up for one person having absolute power, eventually you're going to get the wrong person. That is the main issue with it. Because you're always going to, and this is true of like any sort of governmental system, eventually someone is going to try and use it for nefarious purposes. It's an inevitability. So it's better to go all of that and not even get to the point where one person can have absolute power, so you can that one person being a fucking monster. Just remove the risk of it.
Favorite Donald Trump speech from Ultimate Agent 25? I would have to say either of his State of the Unions.
Yeah. Maybe his most recent State of the Union would probably be the best one.
He got Ilhan Omar to smile.
He got a lot of props from the left, that one, which shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah, there we go. Thoughts on SJWs telling Japan to remove the flag because it triggers their jimmies? We have a button for that.
Fuck them.
Let's see here. Eclectic 1995 says, I remember a while ago that vigilantism was on the rise in Mexico due to the mass corruption of the police force being on the payroll of the cartels. How can this be resolved? Stop hiring corrupt police officers. Mexico's got to sort its own shit, man.
Yeah, Mexico is... Honestly, I think legalizing drugs would take a lot of power away from the cartels. That is where they're making a fuck ton of their money. And at that point, they would either have to become somewhat legitimate or would take a massive economic hit. At that point, there wouldn't be any purpose in really them existing anymore. Hardworld Entertainment asks, what if Boris Johnson goes bugger and dissolves Parliament, pushing for Brexit candidates? Also, how Churchill is he on a scale from 1 to in the morning I'll be sober?
Not very.
No, I don't think he is. That's the thing. Winston Churchill was so fucking unique. I don't think anyone really close. Like you can still be that level of fuck it. I don't think you'll get to the level of fuck it and still like command everyone's respect around the world. It may have just been a thing of the times.
Yeah.
But as far as him pushing the bugger it button, I guess. I don't know what would happen. If he suddenly declared his allegiance to the Brexit Party, that would honestly be the biggest troll in British history.
Yeah.
I almost want it to happen.
It would be funny.
I almost want it to fucking happen.
All right, folks. We have reached the hour. So, if you did not get your question answered during the course of this podcast, please go ahead and place it in the chat. One of our mods will pick it up. Hardboiled Entertainment is here, so you can throw it his way if you like.
Yep.
And, yeah, we will go ahead and we're going to go ahead and convene. Or we're going to go ahead and close down, and then we will reconvene, rather, for the entertainment podcast where we will be talking about cancel culture again. Mm-hmm. Yay. Well, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I'm going to remain sober, I think.
Yeah. We'll see you guys soon. Dave's Vault.
Dave's Vault.